Hey, everybody, welcome to Pink Shade. It's Thursday. That means it's Pop and Bravo Thursday. I've got my friend here. It's the beautiful Kate Casey.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Kate,
Yeah.
we're doing this episode a day before, but it's going to come out on September 11th.
Mhm.
And yeah, September 11th, I lived in DC at the time.
Me too.
I'd been married less than a year.
No, I
Ain't that
didn't.
funny?
No,
Did you live in DC?
I lived in Virginia Beach, but I just moved from there, but I had several friends that were there. One that was a first responder at the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister was in World Trade Center 7, which is the umbrella building, so that one was partly destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was married at the time to somebody in the military who was on deployment
Mm-hmm.
in a military town.
Yeah.
I have many connections to 9/11. It's a subject I'm deeply still fascinated by.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Just because, my story is maybe if you've been listening for a long time, you've heard it. I just was driving to work and went right by the Pentagon, maybe less than 20 minutes, right where it
Mhm.
got hit. So when
To the city or outside
I was
leaving the
going,
city?
well, I was going from Alexandria to Arlington. So I was
Okay.
still just like on the,
Yeah.
roundabouts of Virginia there. And like heading towards the 14th Street Bridge, right?
Got it. Yep.
By the Pentagon, then you have to veer off, and then you go into Arlington that way. The office was right there on the water, right by the Key Bridge, going
Oh,
over
yeah.
into Georgetown. That's where the office was. And so I'm just driving, and then I was listening to Elliot in the Morning, which is still a show on DC 101, and he had Ben Folds 5.
Oh, I love that band.
Yeah, I love Ben Folds. And so he was on, and he was literally singing a song. And Elliot interrupted him, was like, "Hey, I don't want to interrupt you, man, but like some terrible news just happened." And it was the World Trade Center, those buildings have been hit. Oh, it's so crazy. And he interrupted Ben Folds while he was singing. I remember thinking, like, whoa, we're not going to do that. I remember thinking, like, wow. Then I get to my office, park in the garage, go up, and all the TVs, of course, are all on CNBC and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And it's the ball starts rolling. Now, maybe within 20, 30 minutes, the head of the firm came on the loudspeaker, said, "Everybody get out. Get only your personal belongings. Don't worry about your computers. Everybody just get out of the building." Because you could see the Pentagon on fire from our building. So, of course, where our building was right there on the water, across, from Georgetown, we're right there on the flight path. So, I mean, helicopters would fly by the window and you'd be like, "Holy shit." Like you always
Yeah.
thought they were going to come right in. So we, all just left, but then I couldn't go home the correct way that I normally go home, and I'm so bad with directions, there's no GPS or anything then. So I ended up routing myself back into DC, couldn't get, like I was like, "I just need to get to, like, 395, 495, the GW Parkway, something to get back to Alexandria," and I couldn't figure it out, and you couldn't call anybody. I mean, it was
Mhm.
the only call that got through was my boss to be like, "Hey," like, I was on the metro and, like, I heard that, like, but I've got an appointment, and so and I go, "You're not going to your appointment. Like, something terrible has happened." He's like, "Well, you need to call over to, Sterling Brown and Brummel to tell them I'm not coming." I'm like, I'm not doing that." I remember I was like, "I'm not, no." And then couldn't get another call, from anybody for hours, and got home and, like, did my computer and, like, emailed my family. Uh, Dave's mom, her story was that she was in Oklahoma and she was working in the yard, and she just left the house, went to get her hair cut. And when she was getting her hair cut, somebody said, "Oh my God, your son lives in DC. Is he okay?" And she goes, "Yeah, why?" It had been hours and she didn't know anything
Oh, wow.
because she'd just been in the yard and they got in her car, and like it's just not the
Mhm.
24-hour news cycle. I mean, it was a 24-hour news cycle then, but we weren't so attuned to it now
Mhm.
then as we are now.
Yeah.
So for everybody out there, whether you're personally affected by not or not, all of us have stories. Even if you're like in the middle of the country and nothing,
Mhm.
everybody has a story. Everybody knows somebody. It was
Mhm.
such a terrible thing. Such a terrible thing. I remember Dave went outside, started washing the cars once we both got home. I remember going
Mhm.
like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "What else am I going to do? Just sit here and watch TV?" I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing."
Yeah, it was just like in a fog. We, at my house ever since my kids were born, we go to the fire and the police station, and we bring them donuts or bagels with
Nice.
cards.
Mhm.
Um,
You can do
and
that? You're gonna do that?
yeah, we always do that.
Mhm.
And I'm rerunning tomorrow my episode, an interview with Allison Crowther. She's the
Mhm.
mother of Wells Crowther, and I tell the story of Wells Crowther, who was a young guy, actually just a few years out of college. He went to Boston College. He was on the
Mhm.
lacrosse team, and he took
Mm.
a job in finance, and he worked in one of the firms in the South Tower.
Mhm.
And, so long story short, Allison Crowther's son does not come home after September 11th, works in one of the
Mhm.
buildings. And
Yeah.
she tells the story about 6 months later, she's reading the newspaper of an account of the South Tower, and she screams out to her husband, "I found Wells." Well, Wells's father had been a fireman, and he had taught him since he was a young boy to carry 2 handkerchiefs in his back pocket, a red one and a white one.
Uh-huh.
And after the attacks, he had put a red bandana around his mouth and had been going up and down the South Tower to get people, like, out. And he was they found his body months later when he was with all the firemen at the bottom of the building.
Mm.
And so in when she's reading the article, it's all these people that have this recollection of this man with a red bandana.
Mm.
And so they made a documentary about it, and there's a children's book that people can buy too. It's like a must-have if you have kids. It's a great story of heroism.
Mhm.
And anyway, so I interviewed her a couple 2020,
Mm.
and what I found was interesting was her going through how in a few days before September 11th, Wells was feeling very melancholy.
Hmm.
And she found him in the living room, and he was looking at what his old photo of like his, I guess his college picture or high school picture, and he was kind of looking at it, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I just don't think I want to work in finance anymore. I think I want to
Mm.
be a firefighter." And then he was
Mm.
just sort of paused, and I'm forgetting like the exact phrasing, but something along the lines of, "I just feel like something's going to happen in my life and it's gonna be really big, and I'm gonna find my purpose," or something along those lines.
Wow.
And then September 11th happens, she keeps calling, she can't get through, and I think it was after she read that article maybe, she says she talks about going into the bathroom, and there was, like, a gold plate thing over the toilet paper, and she just sits in the bathroom, and for whatever reason, she starts counting for whatever reason just to kinda calm herself.
Mhm.
And when she got to this specific number, which happened to be the same number of his lacrosse jersey, the
Mm.
gold thing on top of the toilet paper popped off. And she
Weird.
was like, "That has to be him." Also,
Yeah.
she felt a sense of doom. It was like that morning or maybe the day before, she just had this horrible feeling of doom. So it's
God.
just, like, just going through all the premonitions and the things in retrospect and also his legacy. So at Boston College, they have, special event for him every year. And he's just become this, like, mythical figure almost, but a young man who had realized that maybe he hadn't been in the right vocation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, yeah, anyway, that
That's a
story
great
really stays with me, so I, like, found his mom, and I interviewed her, and it was very meaningful, so I replayed that one.
Okay, so that'll be out on
Yeah,
Thursday for
but if
everyone. Yeah.
somebody is listening to this and they're like, "I just wanna kind of take a moment and go back and kind of think about those victims," one thing I can recommend is I ended up interviewing the author. It's an excellent book. It's called The The Only Plane in the Sky: The Oral History of 9/11. It's by Gareth Graff,
Mhm.
Graff, and the book goes through beginning from the beginning of the day, and it's just an oral history of people that were, like, involved in 9/11, everybody from, investigations to family members, and they include a lot of the transcripts of the people that called from the planes or called
Yeah.
on voicemails, and so I think for younger people, they're kind of like, "Why is this such a big deal?" It's a big deal because a couple things. The way that we saw ourselves and our own safety totally changed.
Totally. Yep.
And another
Yep.
thing is, like, the rest of the world was completely on our side, like, with us standing in grief, you saw memorials all across the entire globe, and
Yes.
it was this weird moment in time where, for a couple days, everyone was quiet and and thoughtful about their neighbor,
Mhm.
and we were all coming together for a collective movement, and
Mhm.
I can't imagine young people now even imagining that because of the way that we are all now in this very divisive spot in our world
Yeah.
and our time, but that was really and like a moment in time where everyone was just so shocked and saddened and felt unmoored.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It was the whole country and then other countries as well. You just felt, unity. I mean, where we lived right in Old Town, right not too far from the airport at all at the time, there were no planes for months. It was our
Yeah,
neighborhood was so quiet, and there was no boats, and there was no we lived right by the train, would it go right through Old Town. No sounds. It was so quiet. It was so quiet, and so
it's eerie.
that's it was eerie. Yeah, it was eerie for a long time, but you're right, our sense of just walking through the airport or whatnot, all of that changed, and it's interesting you're saying all this because 'cause I'm like, "No, I'll never read that book." You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to.
Oh,
I lived it,
I
you know what I
think
mean?
I think you'd be surprised how much you would really enjoy it.
No, Kate, I know myself well enough, like, when I stopped really watching the news after, Sandy Hook,
Mhm.
because I had a kid that age, I just know myself enough to
Yeah.
know that I get and because of the 9/11 stuff, because like a lot of us lived it, I don't wanna read a
Mhm.
book about it because I just know that it's not
You
good
know
for
what? You
me,
may be
but
right. My sister who was in World Trade Center 7, she can't handle anything, and she's only talked to, I think, maybe 2 or 3 of us in her time since then about what she saw that day
yeah.
and what she went through. She can't go back there. She also lives in a town now in New Jersey. She lived in the city at the time, where there were a lot of families that, had loved ones. In fact, it's so weird. My
Yeah.
niece is working at Fox Sports, and she's got a coworker, and she said, "Oh, his father died on 9/11." Of course, my heart broke, and he never met him because his mom found out she was pregnant a week after he died.
Mhm. A lot of stories like that.
Yeah.
A lot of stories like that. And so I think that for me, I can't read that stuff, but I think it's very interesting what you're saying about younger people not getting it. And you're right, like
They don't even really know the details of it, yeah.
they don't know the details and they don't and they a lot of kids, and I'm just speaking for the ones I know, are
Mhm,
all about the conspiracy theory, about it didn't happen, or, I'm like, well, I watched it on the news for weeks and weeks and weeks, and
mhm.
it sure as shit happened. And I surely knew people that walked by and saw dead bodies on the street. So it
Mhm.
definitely happened, you know.
I think it was
It's
what our parents felt about, JFK's assassination and Martin Luther King's assassination. It's a moment in time where you're n terrified that hope is
mhm.
lost.
Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, yeah, it's so interesting, like, because you don't think about how my kids don't know that you'd be able to, like, walk into the airport and just get on your plane. Do you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
just check in and get your ticket and walk to your gate. There was none of this
Mhm.
metal detectors and take your shoes off and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Y
actually follow, 2 different 9/11 accounts, and every day it's like someone who died's birthday, and
yeah.
they do a wonderful job of kind of giving the history of that person,
Mhm.
and then sometimes I find myself, 'cause I'm myself, chasing who that person was, like, I wanna find out more, and there have been people that my sister has said, "Oh, so and so from town, and they lost someone in 9/11." I'm like, "Oh, I know who that person is because I read about them once."
Kate, do you have a photographic memory?
I do. Yeah,
You actually do?
I do.
Yeah. Because some of the things that you come up with, I'm like, "How on earth do you pull that out? Like, it's something that you remember from, like, 10 years ago and you remember so vividly." I'm like, "How would you remember
Mhm.
that so vividly?"
I know my friend Gina, always laughs because she's like, "We hadn't talked for a little while, then you were like, 'Remember when you were in elementary school and you could never listen to The Sound of Music to the part of Edelweiss because that was the song your grandmother used to sing to you when you were a baby?'" She's like, "You are so weird." I just I can't turn it. I just cannot turn it off. I
Yeah.
can't turn it off, and I don't, but I've said this before, I don't know if I've said this to you, but, memory my specific one is called superior recall, and I
Mhm.
was told by, a professor who works at the memory center at, University of California, Irvine, that it's often hereditary. There's no correlation to intellect. It's just sort of like there's this area of your brain which is like there's a bigger space, but it's
Yeah.
hereditary and it shows up in different generations in a different way.
Mhm.
So my grandmother, my dad's mother, was a musician, and she could see a sheet of music and then remember it forever.
Uh-huh. Right.
And then my dad, can remember stuff about history. Like, if you could ask him, like, "When did Mary Queen of Scots die?" Or what
Yeah.
he can tell you the exact date. Mine is, like, just specific details about people. Trust me, I wish it was, like, for numbers or something. It's just, like, details about people, and so I'm always kinda paying attention. I think 2 of my kids have good memories, but I don't know if they have it, but my mom also has on my other side, my mom has a really good memory too, so but it's just something you have where you don't like, people often or will say, like, "You're like Mary Lou Henner." She can remember every single day of her life.
Yeah. That's
I can't I
crazy.
don't have that. I think there are only I thought that I read somewhere a figure maybe like 45 people in the country that have that specific thing.
It's crazy. My friend Mary has a crazy memory of, dates, and you
Yeah.
can s I will ask her sometimes, I'm like, "How old is my nephew Thompson?" Like, I can't like, "Is he 30? Is he 32?" She'll go, "Okay, well, Sanford was born in 1991, and so that was 2 years later, so he was born in '93, and so da da so and so he was born, like, what, June 5th?" And I'm like so, like, she will
Yeah.
know the birthdays of all my nieces and nephews, like, having heard it once. Do you know what I mean? So
Does
she
she
just
have
will
kids?
Mhm.
Do her kids have that too?
I don't
Maybe
know,
in
I'll
a
have to
different
ask her.
way. Probably in a different way.
I'll ask her. Her one daughter, got her master's recently at UVA, and then her other daughter plays lacrosse at Denison.
Oh. Oh, that's great.
So I'll have to ask her. She's coming here tomorrow. I'm at the beach again, everybody. And, well, that's really interesting. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, "How do you remember?" But I think the same about Mary. She'll say, "No, no, 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 no. That didn't happen because in 1974 this happened and you were born in '68, so you definitely da 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 da. You were only 6." And I'm like, "No, I remember it. I watched that movie." She goes, "There's no way you watched that movie because blah blah blah." I'm like, "Oh, you
Mhm.
don't know. My parents would let me watch anything. They didn't care." It's the third
I think
one.
even now you say it that way, it's probably why there's some, like, docs that I really, like, find my like, Avicii, I'm not a music person, I don't really care about it, but
Mhm.
I feel like he had I refer to it as, like, a little like a mad genius. It's like it doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense, but it's someone's specific thing,
Yeah.
and I feel like he had that. Like, anybody that has, like, something that's just so bizarre, but
Mhm.
it's, like, different, I kind of feel like I'm really into.
Well, it's sort of like, um, Eddie Vedder, Billie Eilish, John Mayer all have that synesthesia or whatever it is,
Yeah.
where they hear music as John Mayer hears music as, shapes and colors, and
Mhm.
Eddie Vedder has said mostly his is, shapes, and Billie Eilish says she really like, when she sees a person, she'll be like, "Oh, brown square," you know? But her dad has it too, but a little bit different, but sh I remember her I mean, I've heard her talk about it a lot, but one time she said on Jimmy Kimmel, he goes, "Well, what am I?" And she no, sorry, Jimmy Fallon. He goes, "What?" She goes, "No, you're, you're yellow circle." And he goes, "Why?" She goes, "I don't know. That's when I think of you, I think yellow circle. My dad said brown square. So I don't know, but it's
Huh.
when they hear music. So John Mayer always looks so orgasmic all the time because he closes his eyes and all he sees is colors and shapes.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and I think he has an album called Shapes and Colors, Colors and Shapes. But anyway, he realized it when he was young, and Eddie Vedder has said he has that too. He can close his eyes and the music all just appears to him in shapes in his brain.
Well, Jonathan Mark is like really close to me, and he's a medium. And
Mhm.
it's like that's another thing. It's like it's just it is what it is. Like that's he grew up with that. He has that
He has it.
ability. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, it's I See Dead People. That's a good movie if nobody ever saw that.
it's a
Sixth
great movie.
Sense.
You know, he also made The Village. That was a good one too.
I saw The Village. M. Night Shyamalan, and he made another movie that scared the shit out of me. I can't remember what it was. That
Yeah,
that was that was back when I probably watched scary movies. I don't watch them anymore.
I know it's hard to watch scary movies. All of his movies are made in the Philadelphia area. God bless. God bless.
Oh, thank you. Shout out Philly.
Yep.
Um, well, we're not here to talk about any of that. Now, first of all, we have to announce everybody. Kate and I have a side project. I'm going to make a little note here. We have a
Okay.
side project coming out together, and it's going to be we've semi-fleshed it out, but it is coming out next month. So when Ingrid is back in town, we'll have it fully done. But it's going to be called Tell Me Everything with Kate and Mary Payne, because I'll call Kate and I'll go, let me tell you this. She'll go, tell me everything. Or she called me yesterday and she said, oh my God, let me tell you about this thing in my neighborhood. I'm like, tell me everything.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that was the mom that got arrested.
that was your story.
That
Yeah,
was
that's
my
a good one.
story.
That
That
was
was a good one.
a good one.
Yeah.
So when my sister was recently in town and my other friend, we sat around and kind of talked about a lot of these stories. I was like, oh my God, I've got like 6 stories I could tell Kate already. The first one I've been fleshing out because I am changing the names and the places and and nobody's going to go and look these people up or anything, but I wouldn't want anybody to get their feelings hurt. But some of the stories, and that you haven't heard them, that's the point. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you a story that you don't know, and you're going to tell me a story I don't know. And it could be from the news. And the way I
Yeah.
came up with this idea, Kate did a show on her Patreon where she just talked about
Oh, the
this.
Net-a-Porter.
No, you haven't told me
Oh.
that one. No, this was about
Oh.
the Virginia guy who owned the bowling,
Oh, that's right.
the rich
Right.
millionaire, and I heard you tell that
The heir.
story
Mhm.
on your Patreon, and I go, "Oh my God, I just want Kate to tell me stories I don't know." And I also don't wanna have to research it and read a 20-page Vanity Fair
No,
article.
right, yeah. Because
So
there are crazy people and you're a crazy person at times too, where you just, like, rabbit hole it, and I
oh,
love
yeah.
somebody that's done the rabbit hole for me.
Yes, yes, and so this is gonna be on both of our, Patreon feeds, whatever, Patreon, Supercast,
Mhm.
Apple, all the places. It's going to be on the $10 level for me. You're going to add a $10 level for you,
Mhm.
so it will be equal. But guys, it'll be every other week, so it'll be the first week will be on Kate's show because it's gonna be me telling her a story. The next week will be Kate
Mhm.
on my show, she's gonna tell me a story. So if you wanna hear all of it, you've gotta subscribe to both. That's how we get you, but it's gonna be worth it.
I think that the first one I'm gonna tell you about is my cousin. Story
Okay.
about my cousin.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have to pretend that it's not your cousin or you're gonna say it's your cousin?
No, I'm gonna say it. Yeah. I
Okay.
have nothing to hide.
Some of my stories, I am gonna have to change the names to protect the guilty and the innocent.
Yeah.
And I could tell you also, the detailed story of my family murder. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
because
Yep.
I think you already know it. So I want to tell you a story that you don't know so that you have a lot of
Right. Okay.
questions. So that's the premise, guys. When Ingrid gets back,
Yeah.
we're really gonna flesh out. Look, all we have is a title and a logo, and and I've written out a few notes. But it is gonna happen in October, so be on the lookout for that.
Somebody should
Um,
start a podcast and call it Stories for Days.
okay. Well, it's not gonna
I
be
have
me.
another idea. Brian Howie and I, my friend Brian who's going through cancer treatments.
Yeah.
He owns a podcast company. We with his help, like we've come up with the concept of a podcast. We just need the 2 people who would be willing to be the hosts of it.
Okay.
Okay. So it so it's basically off of an idea that he did where he
Mhm.
was gonna make a podcast where he gave parenting advice, although he does not have any children.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he took a picture for the for the the
Cover
art,
art.
cover
Yeah,
art,
yeah.
thank you. And it was him with all my 5 kids on a couch.
Okay.
And I was like, "You know what would be really funny? If you had a person who has 0 children giving parent advice,
Mhm.
co-hosting a show with a person who, like, is a CEO, but the
Mhm.
per and okay, so it's like this. There's a person who's a CEO who doesn't have any children,
Okay.
and they're giving somebody who has children advice on parenting. And the
Okay.
and the parent who is not a working person is giving the CEO business advice.
Okay.
So each episode, they come up with a scenario in each of their pockets of lives, but the person who is not with children or without like a company that they're in charge of has to give the other person advice because I have to believe that there's some nugget in the madness of
Mhm.
someone who doesn't have your same life experience that you can
Yeah.
take away. So
Yeah, absolutely.
we need to find the people who would be the perfect host for that.
Okay. Nobody
So
steal
like,
this idea. It's Kate Casey's idea. It's TM, patented and trademarked. Do not steal this idea. If you do, we
is
have
that
this to
great?
look back on. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I don't know
Gotta find the right people though. So it
I
has to
don't
be a
know the people.
CEO without children and then a parent who has children who does not work.
I was just gonna say it could be that CEO that got called at the Coldplay concert, but he's out of a job and he does have kids,
And he does
so
have children,
and
so that's good,
also
yeah.
he
Mhm.
makes bad choices.
He makes terrible choices, but
Hmm.
that's kind of the funny thing is, like, some of the advice you're gonna go, "You are an absolute moron." Because Brian, we came up with him, and he would, like, try to give me advice on something, and I'd be like, "You have no fucking idea what you're talking about."
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah,
you're
yeah.
laughing because 'cause you're like, "That is pretty funny."
Yeah.
What they think parenting might be like. But then
Mm.
sometimes you're like, "Well, because you're not in the thick of it, that actually kind of is a genius idea."
To
Much
step
like
back and be like, "Oh,
right.
actually, maybe that might work." Yeah,
Because
when
a
you're in the
person
thick of
that's
it, yeah.
raising children, they've got high organizational skills. They deal with stress all the time. They might
Oh,
actually have some really great insight for a situation in a company.
yeah. Well, they've got people management skills for sure, especially if they've got, 5 kids like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, I don't know how you do it all, but that's a
But I gotta
podcast
tell
for
you,
another day.
the funniest thing is when people ask me for parenting advice, I'm like, "Why would you ask me?" I
Because
mean, I'm
you got 5 kids.
but I'm halfway okay with my own kids. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
mm.
So, your kids are your own thing, and they have their own personalities. I remember I interviewed the super nanny, and I was so annoyed before this whole thing. I was like, "She doesn't even have kids. What does she know?" And then she said something like, "Well, you know your kids,
Mhm.
but you don't know other people's kids." And I thought, "You know what? You're right. I don't know. How
Right,
can
but
I, like, give advice to another parent when I don't know their I don't know the ins and outs of their kids and how they work and everything."
yeah, well, that's a lot of times when you just have to go to your close friend to be like, "Okay, you know how my kid operates. You know what this is like
Right.
in my house. Like, what do you think?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea, Kate. Well, TM, nobody steal it.
Yeah.
Um, okay, you guys, let's talk about Real Housewives of Miami. Are you enjoying this season?
I always love that show. I
I
think
do too.
the thing that really stands out to me, and I asked Matt about this, why does your show look so much better aesthetically than other shows?
Mhm.
And he said it's because they spend so much time in post edit with the colors on the screen, like to make it pop. Because
Yeah.
Miami is such like a colorful, it has its own specific look.
Yeah.
And he said it's really important to them the way the colors pop on screen, and it's such a, like, a specific small thing that really does make a difference, I think.
I love, I just love Marisol. I want her to be my
I
friend.
know, and she has the best clothes. She and Kiki, I think, have the best clothes of all housewives.
Yeah, and I love the episode this week with Kiki talking to her dad and saying, like, "You kicked me out when I was 15." He's like, "Oh, well." That's
Mhm,
what happened. She's like, 15?"
mhm.
She's like, "Your
Well, that's
wife
also
didn't like
because
me."
remember,
Yeah.
that's what it was, is I remember I interviewed her about that. She said the wife didn't like her. Awful. And by the way,
Where did she go?
she didn't
Where
have
did she
any
go?
money. She got to Miami and they were you're out of here," and she had to figure out a way to, like, even, like, have food. I mean, just really out on her own.
That's awful. Well,
Mhm.
anyway, I loved that, scene with her dad. I have to assume he's not with that woman anymore, but
Oh, he's like a Lothario, like, he bounces. He's got kids from a couple different women, and he gets bored easily.
Okay. Well, all right. I loved this week, being on the Virgin vote. Now, I'm gonna tell you something interesting, and I hope that you cannot hear my messages dinging because I talk
I
about this all
can't.
the time on the show. I have it on do not disturb, but what I've discovered, a monkey told me, if somebody's in your emergency contacts, even if it's on do not disturb, it will still come through, and that really bothers me.
Oh, who is it, Anna?
No, it's all 3. It's everybody in my family. They're talking about the guy, the Charlie Kirk, the shooting.
Oh,
That's
that's
what they're
awful.
talking about,
Yeah,
yeah. So now they're just going back and forth about violence is not the answer, and I'm like, "Yeah, quit texting." So
yeah.
and then a message I got from another from Dave while we've been sitting here is, "What is Violet's birthday?" The dog. Um,
But he's really into those dogs. I gotta it's really astounding.
he loves the dogs.
He really loves your dogs,
Really, yeah. We had a landscaper come here
and
to the
he's
beach house today
very concerned about them all the time.
to get a place, yeah, so that they have a good place to go potty. Okay. Sure. But anyway, okay. I forgot Marisol, and I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the Virgin boat. So
Yeah.
here's something interesting. Since I don't cover any housewife shows turn by turn,
Mhm.
I love to listen to our friends Ben and Ronnie.
Yeah.
Right. So they're coming on together in a couple of weeks here. So I was listening to their show before I came on with you. And at the beginning, and I listened on Wondery. Boo, Wondery. I listen on we're mad at Wondery. I listen on Wondery, the app, and it's supposed to be ad free, but it was a full 3 minutes of them talking about the Virgin Cruise and how great the Virgin Cruise was. And this show is sponsored by Virgin Cruises.
Oh,
So Ben
okay.
and Ronnie got an ad for Virgin Cruises to go with that episode.
Interesting.
Interesting. I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine Ben and Ronnie in that rock star suite?
Can I tell you
amazing.
my Richard Branson story?
Of course.
My husband went to his island on a trip with like a business trip and
Was
Richard
he there? Was
Branson.
Richard Branson there?
Yeah, they played tennis together every morning. And my husband's a
Stop.
really good tennis player.
Yeah.
Like we have tennis channel on in my house. Like he's
Yeah.
obsessed.
Yeah.
And he was like kind of not putting his physical health as a priority at this time that he went to visit. It was not too long ago.
You mean your husband or
My
Richard Branson?
husband.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when I should tell you, like, note for that the guy works 7 days a week. Like,
Yeah. Well,
it's
yeah.
like he works, he comes home, he doesn't
Yeah.
have a lot of time for other stuff. He does play tennis, that's it. So Richard says to him, he's like, "What's going on, Dan?" And so, like, they sit at the tennis court and he's like, I'm really overwhelmed with work." And Richard Branson was like, "Your health has to be a priority, and this is what you have to do." And he came back from that trip and he went to he got a colonoscopy. He went here, he went here. He went to all the kinds of doctors that one needs to
To
like just
do,
make
to check
sure.
up.
And like it was a couple weeks ago, Dan said, I really got handed to him. Like he made a huge difference in my life. Like I really like he was like, your children need you to be at your peak health.
Wow. Look at
Yeah.
Richard Branson.
And he said he is totally devoted to his wife and kids. They have
Uh-huh.
a property there. He spends a lot
Mhm.
of his time there, but, like, crazy about his wife. And if you watch the documentary, The Disruptors, if anybody in your life has ADHD as
Mm.
I do,
I do as well.
he's in it, and he talks about how he had he has ADHD and dyslexia and his experience in school, and he's, like, a really good example of someone who, on paper, would not have done well in school.
Mhm.
However, has used his focus disorder,
Uh-huh.
to kind of create his own lane and has become massively successful, but is also very charitable.
Yes, that is one thing you hear about him, that he's charitable. Well, he was charitable enough to give Ben and Ronnie some money for their show and to
Not
let
us.
not us, and to let and God bless, and let, these ladies onto the boat. And I've thought a lot. I love every so often just hop on a little cruise. I do. And,
I'm never going on a cruise ever again.
I
Never.
well, I'm telling you, Disney Cruise, way to go. I don't even like Disney.
Nope.
It was the best thing we ever did. So,
I think
anyway.
Amy Bradley's case has really ruined the cruise industry, sorry.
Oh, okay, well, okay. So, um, the Virgin Cruise, it's adults only, and so in my mind, I'm like, "Oh my god, it's gonna be like going to hedonism or something, like, it's gonna be gross."
Right.
But people, like, it's just gonna be like naked people in the hot tub or swingers part. But people that have been on those cruises, Virgin Cruises, say it is very different and very nice, and it's not super expensive. It does literally go, like,
Mm.
Miami to Bimini and then, like, back. It only has, like, 3 stops, so it really is, like, perfect if
Mm.
you're just trying to, like, go for 4 days with some girlfriends. I don't They may have some boats now that do other things, but it's interesting in the cruise industry that somebody could put out, like, new boats, a new brand, and have it be successful.
Yeah, definitely.
And it looked nice, and what do you okay, the arguments that we have now, I can't quite remember who's mad at who, but I did like
Yeah.
while sitting down with Stephanie and saying, "You don't need to talk about how much everything costs all the time."
I mean, well, that's an archetype. Usually of the tropes of the housewives, the newcomer tends to be so insecure they overdo it and they like
Mm,
get over the top clothes or they have to talk about their money all the time. That's definitely like a first season kind of mistake. I'm sure she'll chill out. I also have some concerns because she's so uh chatty about income. That's to me like karmic the karmic reality is you're probably gonna be involved in some sort of financial fallout.
well, a listener wrote me and said that the house that she showed that they were, where she showed Larsa the closet with this walls for the Birkins and all that was
Mhm.
already in foreclosure. They hadn't even moved in.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's just yeah. So it's
I
all
just
not as it seems.
anytime somebody talks about, like, their wealth and their things, I'm always wincing. I'm like, "This is gonna come back to haunt you."
Yeah. Well, I did like the Marisol sat her down. I love every time they
Mhm.
show Marisol's cute little tiny perfect
I love
house.
that. That's probably one of my favorite houses on all of Housewives. It's, like,
Um,
so adorable and
it's just
clean and clean
just the
lines and the
just the
cute
space
little
she
landscaping. I
yeah,
love it.
I love it
I,
too.
I also asked Matt Anderson, the executive producer, about each of the women and
Mhm.
what's something we don't know, we don't get.
Mm. Okay.
And he said Marisol's stepkids adore her,
Yeah, you
like
can imagine.
love hanging out with her. And I thought that was cool.
What did he have to say about Adriana? Because she just bugs.
She's really, really smart. She's, like, very cultured, art
Mhm.
history, piano. She's very cultured and like a really fun person to talk to because she's knows a lot of different things.
Um, what did he say that would be interested to know about Gertie? Because I feel like we know everything about Gertie.
That her husband is I don't know, it wasn't really about Gertie, but it was about her husband's, like, a huge Star Wars nerd,
Mm.
and that they're like, the whole family's really close. Like, I mean, you kinda get a sense of that, but he's just reiterating, like, they're very, very close. Gertie is a I've got a soft spot for her because I think that she's probably somebody who's got, like, a focus disorder. She's, like, super, super creative, and when she's in a zone for work,
Mhm.
it's, like, magic. But then outside of work, she's kind of, like, in a couple different places, and, I don't know, I never get the sense from her that she wants that she's cunning or manipulative. I think she's, like, at her heart, like, a girl's girl and, like, a good person.
So speaking of tennis, US Open was just on, and so we watched a lot of it, and we watched the final match with, Alcaraz and,
Mhm.
Sinner. I always wanna say Skinner, but it's Sinner.
And this
And,
Dan went there, by the way.
oh, he did?
Yeah, he flew out for a day so he could go.
Ah,
I'm telling you, he's like a dork.
okay, but that's great. I love it. So I would love to do that too. So we were watching it, and something they showed a clip of something from the past, and Martina Navratilova, and they were talking about, oh, Yvonne Lindell is here when he was presenting the thing, and got my husband and I talking, and I said, oh, earlier they showed Martina Navratilova. I said, she's on the Real Housewives of Miami. He's like, "What?" He's still so upset
Yeah.
about Charles Oakley being on Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh.
He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, she's married to this woman, Julia, and they actually just had their anniversary because she posted about the US Open is so special to us. It's where we got
Mhm.
engaged." And Dave's like, "God, I mean, to him, that is like the lowest of the low, the trashiest of the trash, not Miami
Yeah, no, no, no,
specifically, but
yeah.
just to be on a Real Housewives show."
There was a clip too where there was a couple that got engaged at the US Open, and they showed a clip of it, and Martina was on the panel, it was like 4 people,
Yeah.
and this stranger is getting engaged, and the one woman on the panel goes, "That is the definition of, like, cheesiness." Like, the fact that some she's like, "That is an absolute cheese move," or whatever she said, I forget the exact phrasing. And then Martina goes, "Well, I proposed to Julia like 11 years ago." And she was like, my bad." And I was like, everyone has had that moment in life where you're like, "Oh, please, blah, blah, blah." And then you're like, "Oh, I'm horrible."
But the fact this week they were calling her Marty, I was like, "Oh, now she's Marty? Like, what are we doing? Are we trying to lighten up Martina to feel like she's
Marty.
she's
Yeah.
fun and light?" I don't find her fun and light. I find her to be, like, stunned at the position she's found herself in.
I've always wanted to interview her though because her escape out of Czechoslovakia, I find
Yeah,
very interesting.
yeah. Well, I think that's interesting, but I think she is, like, how do you think Martina Navratilova is getting paid by this show?
No, I think she really loves Julia and wants her to have something for herself.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, you can't imagine that, like, Lenny was getting paid when he was with Lisa. Like, the
Mm-mm.
spouses don't
No,
get
but
paid.
he wanted her to be on the show because it helped him.
Get away from her.
No, I helped his business,
Oh,
plastic
oh,
surgery
oh.
business, but I
Mm,
think he had an agenda, and I
mm.
think Terry Dubrow had an agenda. I think Heather being on the show helped his business immensely, I'm sure. I think she has said it too, like, "I didn't wanna be on the show, but he wanted to be on the show."
Did you like on the OC episode with the lie detector where she admitted she'd rather be on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
I think it was like, okay, yeah, we all know that. She doesn't
Yep.
live here. She lives
I
she
know.
does not own a home in the county of Orange. It's
I
so
know.
crazy.
It's hilarious. And she goes, "What? I live closer to them. Stop." I'm like, "Just let
Yeah.
her do it. Just let her go over there. Just do it. Just let
Also,
her go."
it's really hard when you have like a bunch of kids when you kind of are in the mindset or in the social groups of your older kids. And as your
Mhm,
kids get older, I mean, I find this with like my kids range from junior in high school to first grade.
mhm.
So the first grade parents, like they're this is these that child is their oldest. They've got little kids at home, and there is like this
Yes.
disconnect.
Yeah.
And you're kind of, I feel like, going through life with your oldest kids like tribe. And so I
Yes.
think a lot of what Heather and Terry face is like their tribe of friends, their kids are off in college. Their kids
Mhm.
don't even come back to work. So they're physically and mentally not in Orange County anymore.
Right.
Even
That
though they
is a
have their youngest one is in the 8th grade. So they do have, and one's going off to college. So the youngest one still has, 5 more years here. But they're in their heads, they're not there.
their youngest one is the youngest one Ace?
Yes, 8th grader.
Okay,
I
8th
think
grade.
8th grade, yeah.
In
No,
the
I think they're in the
OC or in
same
LA?
no, wait, maybe they're in 7th.
But
They're not
7th
you know what? I think they're in 7th.
but in the
Eight
OC or
7th
in
or 8th
LA?
in LA.
Okay, so
Yeah,
not
their
even
kids
okay.
don't and Katerina, she went to high school senior year in LA too. So they don't go to I'm telling you, they don't have a property or there's no reason to be here if their kids go to school in LA.
God. Well, okay, speaking of OC, okay, let's try to figure out if we can break this down, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Because I have heard lots of, podcasters and stuff explain it, which is
Mhm.
helpful because even though I watch every episode, I'm still like, "Wait, huh?" So and I don't even understand how Kiki Monique, who we both know,
Mhm.
and is a completely normal, nice person, how she got dragged into this.
Okay, so all you need to know is, Kiki went out with Katie. Katie
Mhm,
had, like, met with a bunch of different people in the off season, like, "Oh,
mhm,
you're a blogger, like, just I think to kind of know I think she went out to kind of meet people in the space, kind of the way somebody who starts a job,
mhm.
you're gonna meet the vendors, you're gonna meet like, I don't think that's that unusual.
Okay, but can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And we can cut this out if you don't want it. Are you gonna ever say that you went out to lunch with
I
Katie?
will. Okay, I'm
Okay,
happy to say okay.
you could talk about it? Okay, go ahead.
So, it's not that unusual. A year ago
Mhm,
I met with her. I went out to
mhm,
lunch. I was like, "Oh, you live in a neighborhood nearby." So went out to lunch and I saw her several times over a weekend and I had scheduled to interview her and then it was delayed for some reason and I tried to follow up with it to schedule it and it was like
mhm,
crickets. I never got a text back
mhm.
and it was just nothing. And then I look on Instagram and she's unfollowed me and I was like, "Okay." Now, for those of us that have schedule podcast interviews, you can imagine how annoying that is.
Yeah, because 'cause you're like, "Okay, next week I'm gonna slot this in. Let me just nail the
And
time
now
down." Yeah.
and now
Mhm,
I'm like, "What?" So I go back to Bravo and I'm like, "So I guess," I was like, well, I'm not doing the interview with her because so can I
mhm,
have Emily?" And they were like, "Oh,
mhm.
wait, are you sure? Don't you still wanna do Katie?" And I went, "Well, no, like, I've moved on. I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna wait around for weeks for." So it is kind of
But do
weird
you think this was
watching.
this the same time they were filming and she was getting in
This
trouble for
was
all this stuff?
Okay, so I met her last weekend of August of last year, and that this probably went on several weeks where we were trying to coordinate. So maybe, but I've had other people ask me when you got to with because what people are saying is that when Katie met with other people, she was just like talking shit about each cast member, like this is what they have alleged. Like, oh, like
Yeah.
I met with her and she's like, here's why this person's horrible. This is their deepest secret. I did not have that experience at all.
Mhm,
I feel like we talked a lot about her life. So that's why I have said the whole season, like, well, why are we not getting to her story? Which I think if you know the origin story, some of this kind of makes sense, but we
mhm.
never get to it. But of course, you know me, I'm prone to ask people lots of questions. So maybe that's why that didn't
Yes.
happen. But I did not have that experience with her. I thought her story was very interesting.
Yeah,
And again, I don't know why it doesn't come up. I think that, so do I think it's normal that she met with people? Yeah. What's
me too.
abnormal, I think, in the whole equation, if true, would be sharing a story that someone told you that blurs the line of legality.
Mhm,
So if you were in your normal life and we're together and you say to me, so someone that we know, Sarah, let me make up a name. Sarah
mhm,
was at a party at John's house and she says she got drugged while she was there.
mhm,
And then I go and I tell somebody who has a public platform and
right,
says, Mary Payne told me that when Sarah was at John's house that he drugged her.
mhm,
Now, in the regular world that we live in, we'd be like, wait, what? Like,
right,
this is, and then Sarah and John would be like, why would you spread that rumor? Like, there's no proof of it.
you're right.
That could totally harm my business, my job, my life.
Yeah,
That's where it's a problem. So I do believe Gretchen probably said something because I don't think Katie totally pulled that out of nowhere.
mhm.
To what degree, I don't know. But it begins there, the planting the seed, and
But
then
then we saw Gretchen say it
sharing
on
the
cam
seed.
but then we saw Gretchen say it on camera. She said, "I had to go
Yeah.
to the hospital." She whispered it. she said, "I was so
So
sick, I
so
had to
she
go to the
so she said
hospital."
something that planted the seed, right?
Right. She's probably said something
But
very
then she
similar at
reneges
that
on it
dinner. Yeah,
because
yeah.
now she says, "Well, I misspoke." So it's just
Mhm,
like, what? So she clearly planted the seed. That's a problem. And the second problem is carrying that seed to somebody who has access to a public platform.
mhm,
And because of that, Kiki then goes to two other people and says, "Hey, I went out with Katie and she
mhm,
says this thing that's like deeply troubling and
mhm,
blurs the line of legality. Have you heard this too?"
mhm,
Now that person then calls Tamra.
mhm.
Now Tamra's about to film or is starting to film, and then she brings it on camera. The shocker to me is that they would actually include this in filming because to me, I'm going back to this is a legal
Yeah,
issue.
right, right,
So
right.
I think everybody's involved in this to some degree. There's all culpability. And the other problem is, everyone is lying in some way about some part of the story. You just can't pinpoint to what degree. And that sucks because you want to feel like there's at least one narrator in this thing that we're watching. And no one, I can't, you don't know what anyone's truth is.
Well, how does Sheena get involved? Because people are like, "Oh, so Kiki said it to Sheena," and Sheena's like, "Don't
So
bring me into it."
Teddy interviewed Katie and
Teddy and Enrique. Okay.
okay, on her podcast.
Mhm,
And Teddy said, I was asking her about this, and she's like, well, I heard this rumor. So again, it's the game of telephone. I don't know. Somebody somewhere along the lines goes, well, probably they were probably like, well, Gretchen is friends with Kiki and Sheena. So
okay.
maybe there's some connection, not based on any proof or anything. So Teddy says that, and Katie's reaction is sort of like not denying that. And then Sheena and Kiki, they record together and they're like, this is absolutely not true. So I think it's just, we're all sort of lost in all of this, like passing the seed,
Yeah, yeah.
that it's just, it's really frustrating.
Well, it's so interesting because I was trying to figure out, like, at this time when Katie was meeting with various people, which is in her right to do whatever, and you had lunch with her, and I was
Mhm.
like, and then she ghosted you is what happened,
She goes
and
to me. I found her to be lovely and
yeah,
very in her story. I
you
said to everybody, I'm like, oh, I think she's really interesting. Then I
yeah,
got mad when I got ghosted
of course. But you
because I was
told
like,
me
I got to schedule my show.
yeah, yes, I remember all of it, but now that we're seeing it on TV, I'm wondering if around the same time when she
Yeah.
ghosted you completely, she was like, "Oh, I can't talk to anybody anymore
I
because I
think
got
it was
myself in trouble."
before. I think it was before that.
Mm. Because then af because then
But it's a possibility.
she did refollow you and swing back around like 6 months later, and you were like, "Girl, get out of here." Yeah.
I don't remember if she did. I know her husband did. Did she? I don't remember. I don't remember anymore. It was like,
Well, listen, we just
which is,
talked
I just
about your
told you I have a
memory.
photographic memory, but I don't. That part, I don't remember. Maybe she did. I remember being very annoyed though.
You were
All
very annoyed,
okay,
but she
but
reached back out, but it was like
I
6
know, but
months after she had unfollowed you, and
it
you were like,
was.
"No,
I
the
was
ship has
like,
sailed."
no. Because once someone has, like, screwed you over, you're
Mhm.
like, "Fuck off."
Well, you're like,
I think everybody can kinda understand that. I was like, "I don't you know what? What?" And then also, when you spend time trying to get to know someone
Mhm,
and you feel like your time was not valued,
mhm.
it annoys me. Like,
Yes.
I spent a lot of time getting to know her and really was a great listener, and then felt like I was sort of, like, disposable, and I didn't like that feeling. That's how I felt. If that was her intention, I don't know, but at the time, that's how I felt, and I remember I called you and I was like, "I am so annoyed."
Yeah, very annoyed, and also it has, like, in our world, it's always annoying when you count on somebody and they cancel that day, the day before. I've definitely had people
Which is hard
cancel
which
20
is
minutes
hard for people
before.
to get.
Yeah,
It's hard if you're not a podcaster, you're not gonna get it, and you're gonna go, "Well, this" but it is a massively stressful thing,
super
especially
stressful.
when you have 5 children and you're
Mm,
trying to coordinate around their schedules, and then I'm like, "Okay, now I have to come up with another plan."
and well, I have advertisers, and the episode has to go out at
Yeah,
midnight, and it's 4 p.m., and I got no
yeah,
show.
I have no show.
And I've got a 2-hour window to do it because I've got a babysitter, I've got a dad, I've got the whatever,
Mhm.
So, yeah, I remember all of that, but I was just trying to put it together in my brain if they were filming or if something happened in that time where not just ghosted you, Casey, because she's like, "Fuck that bitch." It was more like, I can't speak to anybody that's in the podcasting, the news, the blogger business because I don't wanna get in trouble because I did something and now I'm in trouble. So I
I
gotta
think
ghost
it was
everybody.
I think it was before because I think all of this stuff was happening in March.
They filmed all this in March
I think so. It
of
was like
2025? No,
I
no.
think so. Yeah, look it
Don't
up.
don't they film a year I don't know when they film. I don't know.
No. Well, we're already in September, so I think it was back then. Because
Okay.
that's when I think they went to New Orleans was, like, February, March or something.
Yeah, because I remember that and Tamara being like, "I" everybody's like, Tamara quit again." Like, "Okay, LOL." Well,
Yeah.
that is an interesting story, and
Mhm.
we'll see what happens, and, I've heard the rumors as you have of there's gonna be this big terrible thing that happens at the end of the season regarding Gretchen and,
Which
antisemitism
I do know what happens at the end.
and and,
It
homophobia, and, of course,
I
Heather
just think
with 3
if you were already feeling
kids.
totally yucky, for lack of a better term, ick,
Mhm.
if you've
Mhm.
been feeling ick about this season, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah, that's my thought. That's my thought, and, sorta like at the end of New Jersey where you're just like,
That one too.
we were already feeling so bad, and now you just made it worse at the end, like,
Yeah.
why can't everybody just get
I do
along?
feel like the New Jersey and the OC is just, like, is very similar.
The toxicity.
And it's not fun to watch. There's no fun in that show at all.
Well, it's sorta like people said about The Valley that they really, like, hated how toxic it was, and I was like, "I loved every minute of it." Something wrong with me or what?
Yeah.
What? Somebody sent me a reel the other day, a
Mhm.
listener, and it was, uh, Jax, like, being crazy. It's like, him with his nose bandage and him with his
Ugh, I
blood
can't
and the
stand him.
punching and all the, like,
Yeah.
the scary Jax memes, and it ended with when he, like, threw that chunky sweater off and went to beat up that guy in the parking lot,
Yeah.
that Aussie was dating or whatever, and I was like, "God, he was hot."
What you've lost your mind.
That was my first thought.
Oh my god. Wait, you didn't watch it, it just came out today, Thirst Trap, the documentary on William White?
No, tell me, who's William White?
Okay, your listeners are
Right.
going to be fired up about this
No, I
one.
got my
Okay,
pen, I'm writing it down. Thirst
2
trap.
2 episodes came out today, Paramount Plus. Okay, it's
Okay, but
called
wait.
Thirst
Wait, wait,
Trap.
wait. How many episodes will there be? Because, I've got all my
Just 2,
girlfriends
that's
coming
it.
this weekend.
Oh,
So
you're gonna watch. This is the one you're gonna watch with them.
okay,
You're
alright.
gonna yeah, okay. That and Charlie Sheen documentary,
I was gonna get
out
them to
today.
watch if they hadn't seen Unknown Caller and tell them nothing about it and have them watch that.
Yeah, that's a good one too, but okay, let me explain Thirst Trap because you
Okay,
may have different opinions, but okay.
okay.
So imagine and Heather interviewed him during COVID. A 21-year-old landscaper from Canada makes these TikTok videos where he's lip syncing to Barry
Okay, I
Manilow.
remember when Heather interviewed him.
Okay.
Yeah, and
This guy,
he's just dim.
dumber than a box of rocks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
As my mother would say, criminally stupid.
Oh.
And big blue eyes, wide smile,
Gorgeous.
dimples.
Gorgeous.
You
Yeah.
kind of look like a young version of, like, John Mellencamp and the Jack and Diane video,
Yeah,
kind of
cute.
like a just like a Indiana, Canada, kind of like guy of
Indiana,
town.
Canada. Yeah,
You know,
okay.
like not
Yeah,
a city guy.
right, okay, I got
So
you.
he makes these videos, and surprisingly, the women that made him go viral, the audience was like women over 50.
Mhm,
And it was, you know, strategic on his part. He's choosing songs that were right up their alley. They were going back to the roller skating days of their lives. I don't know. And
mhm,
they're like,
mhm.
he is so hot. And that's when you could start sending people money on TikTok.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like one woman's on there, she's probably in her 60s now, and she's like, I sent him like $200,000. They are all dying over him, and he would do TikTok lives, and they would some of them were like, I would wake up at 5 o'clock just to see him during his live. Then they started going to Canada, to his hometown, in hopes to see him. It's like, so really harkens back to like the teen bop days,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
in
uh-huh.
this case, it's a 21-year-old, and the women and the people that love him are in their 50s and 60s.
Okay.
And it was like he would go on TikTok live and be like, I'm gonna go to Kelsey's restaurant, which is like their local steak or
Yeah,
burger place. And then he'd go to pay and then be like, somebody's already taken care of it. He he was at, so he's at first seems kind of sweet and dopey, and then you
yeah,
see he's getting money, and he's like, these idiots, and he's
right,
like, they're giving me what I want.
right,
And then
okay.
they start getting possessive of him. And when
Mm,
one of those groups went to visit him, this one woman they called the Disney mom, I don't know, she was like, because of her like Instagram handle or something, they go up into her room and they get it on, William White and the woman. And
okay.
she's like talking about the experience and how all of these women went insane on her afterward. They were like bitter and angry.
Now, is he a single guy or does he live with his mother? Like,
Oh, he
who's
lives with
also
this.
the
Oh
same
no,
age?
yeah. He lives with his mother. Same, yeah. She's the same age as these women. Okay, and
Oh
they're all
my
trying
god.
to be friends with the mom. And then the mom gets upset because then she starts getting things sent to her house, and she's like,
Yeah,
"Now we've crossed the line." I'm like, "Oh wait, now we've crossed the line." Okay, so there are women who are like, they're duets, you know, on TikTok, where side by side videos
yeah,
where they're like lustfully looking like after this guy who's like 20, and then he was like, get a girlfriend or something, and then they
yeah,
would be angry. It was like parasocial
yeah,
behavior on crack.
yeah, okay.
And then it kind of ends with like the fallout where he starts like resenting these people and like talking smack to them. And then they hate him. And there are two factions. There's like a positive group that love everything he does. And then there's the negative group that like trolls the positive people.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And then like his relationship with the internet, like wanting to be on it, but wanting to be off it. And
Yeah,
the amount of money people were sending him is insane.
and
But
so
I
what's
made Heather McDonald watch it last night. She watched it with Drake, and she texted me. She's like, "I'm embarrassed right now to like be a woman or something," because she's like, it's like Drake's age person, and
yeah,
she's like of the fan group, and she's like, "This is so crazy that these women like went crazy for him." And she's like, "He's not as hot as he was in the video." I'm like, "Yeah, because he was getting older and like." I feel like he had some addiction issues, and I feel like the
mm,
addiction issues went straight to his face. Do you know what I mean?
oh, yeah. It's funny that you say this. So Anna had a friend that was a high school friend, and maybe it was no, it must have been high school. It was before she went to the other school, and she had this guy, and he dated her friend, Fiona, and he came to our house. And he was, I mean, like the guy that played Elvis in the movie. What's his name?
Oh, Austin, what's his
Austin.
face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking like looked like that.
Okay.
Like just as an adult woman, you're like, that's a good looking kid. Like, whoa, he should
Yeah.
be a model like that. Just like, okay. Dated her friend Fiona. Good for you, Fiona. Whatever. He's hot. But then Anna tells me, oh, he's got this viral TikTok. Da da da.
Oh,
And I
okay.
go, no, I don't know about it. Why would I?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't come up. I'm looking for like Amazon finds and like what to buy from Target.
Yeah.
And sometimes cute dog memes is what comes up for me. And she goes, "Oh my god, no, he's got like 2 million, I mean, something crazy on TikTok." And this was way back. And it popped off during COVID, same thing, same idea. And he was singing like Elvis songs.
Oh god. Oh, so
A
yeah, so
It was
it's
the
like the
same idea.
50s, you're in
Mhm.
the 60-year-old. Yeah.
Because somebody said,
Yep.
"You kinda look like a young Elvis," or whatever. And
Mhm.
I said, and I go, "Why is he's always in like these mom jeans? Like, why?" And I go, I go, "That's why I'm not this it's not relating to me that people will be like, 'Whoa, he's so hot,' because he's,
Yeah.
like, such a nerd," you know? And she goes, "Mom, I don't know. People just love him."
They
I'll
just
have to
love 'em.
but he just went to college and lived his life. But I remember talking to him one time, whatever his name was, it'll never come back to me. I'll have to ask Anna. But I remember asking him one time, like, how do you make money on TikTok if you like
Yeah.
have such a big I don't know. And he goes, oh, well, people like buy you things or they send you roses or whatever. And I go,
Yeah.
and then you cash it out, like it goes into an account. And he goes, yeah, you have like a TikTok account and you can like cash it out. Like if you sell purses on Poshmark or something. I was like, what? And he made a
Yeah.
lot of
Well,
money.
some of those women basically said that watching his videos gave them this sexual awakening, like it had been dormant, maybe because of a divorce or raising kids, and then suddenly
Okay.
they were, like, having the feelings, and then
For somebody their child's age. Uh-huh.
yes, and then they were having these feelings of, like, "Maybe we could be together." It's like delusion,
Okay, I'm writing this down, thirst trap, and I'm gonna ask my friends because when
and
we
it's weird
do
because
these
some of them are
trips,
like, "Oh, I just think of him as my friend." I'm like, "Why would you have a friend who's a 21-year-old landscaper from Canada?"
you should be like, speaking of, I had a landscaper come over here today, the one that I talked about, like, it's gotta do something for the
For the
dogs.
dogs.
She's real cute. Real cute. I got real nervous. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey."
I knew
'Cause
someone who had an affair with the landscaper.
no, it's not happening here, but I'll tell you that a lot of people that work here, this is in North Carolina, and the
Yeah, it's
people
a
come.
resort area, yeah.
Well, but the people come from the tiny towns that
Mhm.
do all the work on nobody lives here. They all, come over on the ferry, and I guess this guy does too, but they have work trucks that stay here or whatever. But a lot of people are just like local small town North Carolina, just real like real salt of the earth,
Yeah,
missing some teeth, gonna drink a Budweiser and go fishing on the weekend. Like just
that's nice. Good for them.
regular folk.
Yeah.
This guy shows up and I was like, whoa, where'd you
You're
come
like,
from?
"Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah, good for
wow.
you."
Good for you, hot landscaper. Um, yeah. Anyway, that's just a sidebar.
One time
Listen,
I had an Uber driver and I said, "You look like" I don't know, like, why I said this, I said, "You look like you could be a professional soccer player from Dubai."
ah,
And he goes looks at me crazy, and I was like, "Ooh, sorry." And then he goes, "My brother is a professional soccer player in Dubai." And
no way.
he showed me on his phone. I was like, "Wow." I don't know,
Well,
it was weird.
last story, and this is what we do, and this is why you're going to enjoy our new side quest. Is I had the driver yesterday. So when you land to come to the beach, you land at the
Mhm.
Wilmington airport, and you have to have an Uber. But if you call an Uber, it's literally gonna be the same guy that you hire as the driver, and it's gonna be the same price. There's, like,
Yeah.
4 Uber drivers, and then they also do, like, private car service in their van or whatever. So this is this guy that I know. So you text him, "Here's when I'm landing," and he drives you over to the ferry, and then you take the ferry. It's planes, trains, and automobiles. So, anyway, I was in the car with him, and he started talking about something about true crime. I was like, "Ooh," I was like, "Well, I love a true crime story or something." And he goes, "Yeah, I kinda got into that." He goes, "Something about do what tell me about that story about the Murdochs. Can you tell me about that?" I go, "Well, it's only a 45-minute ride. Like, I mean, how much time do you have?" So I went through kind of what I could even remember,
Yeah.
specifically about it. And so then I said, "But let me tell you what you do need to be following is the Donna Adelson situation because, like, good."
Oh,
And
yeah, I have something to add to this. Okay, go
I
ahead.
gave him the whole story, and then I kept going, "And then," and I kept, like,
Yeah.
remembering shit. I was like, "And then he stapled the money, and then," I kept remembering, like, so
Mhm.
many things, and, I completely had forgotten the part about them going to Vietnam, and then, halfway through, he goes, "Next," I go, "Oh my god, I totally forgot. They were trying to go one way to Vietnam." He goes, "Well,
Yeah.
that's a red flag." I go,
Well,
"Well,
yeah,
they've been."
exactly.
"Well, they'd been to Vietnam before, and their friend came over and told him to buy one way because it was cheaper." He's like, "Oh, bullshit, blah,
No,
blah, blah."
bullshit. Yeah,
But I
totally.
was trying to give him both sides. So anyway, I was like, what to watch for is what's gonna happen with, Wendy
Wendy.
and Harvey. So he's
Yeah,
like, "Okay, Wendy's the wife, Harvey's the dad." So
yeah.
he wrote me last night and said, "Okay, great. Now I've gone down a rabbit hole." He wrote me this morning, the driver wrote me this
Yeah.
morning and goes, "Thanks again. I literally stayed up till midnight and I've got more research to do today." I was like,
Oh,
"You're
good.
welcome.
No, I
You're welcome.
appreciate that.
You're welcome."
I was talking to a consultant that I hadn't talked to in, like, we haven't worked together in maybe 6 years or something.
Mhm.
He was like, "Oh, I was thinking about you and all the true crime stuff that you're working on." He goes, Are you following the Adelson case?" I go, "Am I following the Adelson case? I just
Yeah,
interviewed an attorney from Tallahassee about it." And
yeah.
he goes, "Wendy Adelson was my old girlfriend."
When, like, in high
Uh-huh.
school or something?
No, in college. I go, Oh.
What? Before she married
I
Dan?
said, "Tell me everything.
Yeah.
What is going on?"
Yeah.
And he said, "She was the person that I dated before I met my wife that I ended up marrying." And he said, I go, "Was the family weird?" And he said, "Oh,
Yeah.
no." I go, "Well, what do you think happened?" He goes, "Absolutely, she knew about the whole plan. There's no doubt about it. That family, it was totally weird." And he said, she talked to her mom constantly, like all day long.
Mhm.
And he said, "I never met the older brother because he seemingly even then, like, wanted nothing to do with the family." I mean,
Yeah.
he's been married to his wife for, like, this guy's been
He
married
lives
for,
in
like,
yeah.
19 years or something.
Yeah.
But he said, he remembered this one Thanksgiving she canceled. She was like, "Remember, yeah, how I wanted you to come? Like, we're not gonna do that anymore. We're just gonna keep it just the family." Called and told the boyfriend, I know you were gonna come visit me for Thanksgiving and spend
But
it
you
with my
can't
family,
come.
but now because we just wanted to be family." He's like, "Of course, they all knew the plan, all of them."
I there's so I was trying to when I was talking to the driver last night, I was like, there's so many things that point that she did know,
Mhm,
and then there's so many things that are like, "Meh, that's just circumstantial." You have to look at it from what a jury has to look at it circumstantially, like, there's no concrete email or anything
mhm.
that she knew. It's just so I was like, "I don't know until they get something concrete on her," but they said stay tuned, so we're staying tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So, but
Stay
it's gonna be I
tuned.
mean, just I mean, it the dad, Markel, the dad, when he got up and he listed all the people that
Mhm.
now don't have parents and all the
Yeah.
people that are affected don't have a sister, don't have a mother, don't have these people don't have any parents. These people don't have grandparents because of what you've done. Like, and was it
Mhm,
worth it? That was so powerful when he listed out, Catherine McManawas children have no parents now.
mhm.
All these, these Lincoln and whatever the other one's name is,
Yeah.
don't have probably eventually won't have parents either. And then
Mhm.
what's in place? Who's gonna take care of them? You know?
Right. Did you,
It's
by the
hard.
way, watch any of the Chrisleys stuff?
No, Kate,
It's getting better. It's
I just have
getting
such a hard time with it.
I know, but it's getting better and better. The family is so honest about how messed up they are. I like them even more. I mean, I would watch it back in the day, like earlier, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
they seem funny." And then I just took a long, long break.
Because it was so like, "Here comes grandma, isn't she crazy in the kitchen?" Like, it was so
It
fake and
is
scripted. Yeah.
so the opposite now, where Chase is clearly still on drugs. He's engaged to a girl, and Julie wants nothing to do with this girl. She's like, "I'm not going to meet her. I don't want anything to do with her." And she's got a mom who is definitely invested in this relationship so she can be like a TikTok star. Then you have Grayson, the youngest one. He's the voice of reason. And the grandparents, Julie's parents, the father, I think his name's Harvey too. He and Savannah despise each other. And they have this like like rip each other apart conversation on camera where you're like holding your head. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe they went through with this on camera. It is like the most complicated family, and it is nothing that you thought from the original version of the show. That one was,
Okay.
like, packaged with a nice bow,
Yeah,
and this one, you're like, "Oh my god, Julie's parents hate Todd." And then Julie's
of
parents
course.
lost a son, and now they basically have transferred their feelings about their deceased son onto Chase, so Chase gets away with everything, but it's actually probably led him into a deeper addiction.
I didn't know Chase had addiction problems.
No, I didn't either, and it's heartbreaking because he's, like, sitting on the couch, and he's got funny he's like his dad, he's got, like, funny one-liners, but he's got the sensitivity of his mom, but
Mhm.
his arms are I don't know anything about that much about, like, certain addictions, but, like, when, like, he has no muscle on his body, it's just, like, these thin arms where it just
Yeah,
looks like
yeah.
he never exercises or eats healthier, and you're like, I'm worried about him, and I'm worried about Julie. I'm worried about Julie, I'm getting better about it because I've been, like, listening to that podcast to just check in on her.
Mhm.
I would love to interview her. I think she's getting but when she first came out of prison, I was really worried about her. But then on the last episode, someone who was in prison with her, this really cool lady, I think her name was Sharita, she came on and talked to Savannah. They were in prison together. And
Mhm.
she reads this letter that Julie wrote to Sharita and basically said, I prayed that God would send me a strong Black woman who could be a great influence for my granddaughter, Chloe, and he gave you to me, and we're
Mm.
gonna be friends for the rest of our lives, and you're I don't know.
Mm,
Like, there's so many layers to it, I find endlessly fascinating. It is not what people would think it is.
right. Well, I'm just, oh God, that other show just irritated me to no end, Kate.
Yeah.
And he irritates me to no end, but I do feel for Julie. I do
He
feel like she's
doesn't
a little bit of
bother me as
victim.
much anymore because on the podcast he said, "I absolutely hated doing my show. I was, like, so over it. I didn't really wanna do it. I was doing it for the kids." That level of transparency I really appreciate because we talk to these reality stars.
Mhm,
And that's why I like to interview people that are off a show for a while because,
mhm.
then you get the real authenticity. When they're in it, they will say and do anything to keep their job,
Yes.
and there's a
Mhm.
level of transparency that's happening even with the parents that I'm like, "Okay, now this is really what was going on."
Speaking of that, next week I'm talking to Olivia Plath again,
Oh, see,
and
that's another one I think she's really pretty transparent.
it's great because
Yeah.
she either did or has broken her contract with the TLC. She didn't give a shit before, now she really doesn't give a shit.
She don't give a shit now.
She didn't
Yeah.
give a shit then, and she doesn't give a shit now. And, like, I've had actual, speaking of, like, having lunch with somebody, I've had actual lunch with Olivia, and she couldn't be more easy to talk to and normal and so
Mhm.
beyond wise for her years,
Well, especially
that
coming from that family system where it's like they
yeah,
have all those kids and
yeah, her own family and then
yeah.
that family, yeah. Anyway, they talk about her a lot on Welcome to Plathville, and I'm like, "She is a not bothered." She was, like, in France, and she was in Croatia, she was in Italy, she's like, "I don't
Mhm.
care."
Yeah, I
Speaking of
sometimes I use a crayon box to explain things, situations, and people. The Plath family are a box of 8 thick dollar store crayons.
mm.
She is a box of 164. 164s can't hang out with boxes of 8. Do you know what I mean?
That's so weird, but yes. That's that's I don't know where you came up with that. That's that
It's just
weird
like,
part
but,
of your brain, yeah.
some people are just so basic. They don't see beyond that, and they're,
Yeah,
and theirs are thick because 'cause they're troubled, and they have not read a book in 14 years, so they don't really know basic things. And,
okay.
she's been to Croatia and France, and but her life is much more full
Her
of
life is
different colors.
yeah, and Micah almost escaped, but he got sucked back
Yeah,
in.
because he's, as my mother would say, criminally stupid.
Bless him. Bless his heart, but so cute.
Yeah.
Um, listen, everybody, you know where to find Kate Casey.
You
She's
know what, though? I would love for people to go and do 2 things for me. The
okay.
bonus podcasts on Patreon, but
Yep.
also on Apple Podcasts, and also to follow, or to subscribe to my what to watch list at
You have to. You have to.
katecasey.substack.com, because I want you guys to get the list of what to watch each week because you would have missed Thirst Trap if I had not even mentioned that, you know what I mean? And then
I
the Facebook group too.
constantly,
Yeah.
constantly look at your
Oh, that's
list.
so
I
that's
just
awesome.
no,
Yeah.
it's katecasey.substack.com, and
Mhm.
that's what to watch, and that's free,
Free. Comes
free.
right to your email box. God bless.
And you look at it and you go, "Oh, shit." You may not have known about Unknown
You know where I
Caller if you
got
didn't
God
see
bless
that.
from?
Where?
Chris Farah used to say God bless, and I got that from her. I feel like I say it all
She
the
still
time.
says it. She says
Yeah.
it all the time. And she's like,
Hers,
"I don't know."
but she says it like 15 more times than we do, but it definitely weighs on me, and I enjoy it. It's a good
She
way to
says she
couch
says it in
things.
a frantic way, like, "I don't know, God
Yes.
bless."
God
You know?
bless, God bless. Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, I mean, like, who amongst, but God bless. Yeah.
You know what she is? Like, if you go to lunch with her or dinner with her, she'll
Yeah.
talk to the waiter and she'll find out everything about the waiter, and then the waiter will mess up something, and then she'll apologize to the waiter as if she was the waiter, and then talk to the manager about how the waiter should not be fired. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that going out to a meal with Chris and Matt is rough
I
because
bet.
Matt
Yeah.
also I love your tattoos. That color looks so good on you. I'm like, "We don't know
Yeah,
her. We are here to talk to each other.
yeah.
Quit."
Matt would be like, "How's your mom?"
And I
Yeah.
go, "Oh, you're so pretty. I bet you have Italian background. We don't care. Just bring us our
"Tell me about
drinks."
your first boyfriend."
Yeah, no,
"Oh,
get
he
out of
did
here.
that to you?"
Get
Yes.
out of here. God.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 of them just went to, dinner or something the other day, and he wrote me, he's like, "Oh, I just saw Chris." I was like, "Oh god, how did y'all even have a conversation? Did you only just talk to the people around you?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, we do
Well,
that."
I have the opposite problem. I was leaving a restaurant on Sunday and I saw Shannon Bedore sitting with her dad, and I said hi to her. And then my husband came over and was like, "The car is pulled up. We're leaving. I like, he has to rip me away." Because I want to ask her everything about OC, but like she has to talk to her dad. You know what I mean?
What's his name? Dad's name?
Gene, she said to Dan, "You know, my dad is 96 years old." And Dan said, "You look really good for 96."
Yeah.
But you could tell the dad was like, "I really just wanna sit with my daughter." And that's
Yeah.
when and I'm glad Dan said that to me. I got in the car and I was like, "You're right." He was just sort of like, you know what? That's all fun, great show, blah, blah, blah. Like, I wanna be with my daughter."
Did, you get any information out of her before your husband pulled you away?
Not too much, but she just was like, been a heck of a week or 2 or 3 or 4. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, luckily she's not in the middle of it, so that's good for her.
I did say I like that part of the last episode where her daughter was back on camera. She looks super happy, her daughter, and you know
Yeah.
what? You could say whatever you want about these women, but I do think when they have you kinda get a sense of, like, their parenting when you
Mhm.
see the adult kids, and it seems like her kids really enjoy a nice relationship with her, and they're all kind of independent and happy people.
I agree. Not because of David Bedore, we'll just say that, allegedly.
I would not think so. Mm-mm.
Okay, Kate, I'll
I've
talk.
always heard that though with Shannon's kids because I live in the same town. People have always said her kids are really nice kids.
Okay. Listen, this is not a Shannon Bedore podcast. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, bye.